All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachak Wadash. Double honors unto our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Much peace and blessings to all you sincere Akim out there that's pushing this 100% truth with all sincerity, faith, and with charity. This is your brother Ash from the Great Millstone Miami Camp, coming back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And Lord willing, this lesson is edifying unto the elect. In this lesson, I want to speak on learning how to think like a demon. We must learn how to think like a demon. Okay? And I can't really say it more plain than that. I'm not trying to say that to sound three deep or to sensationalize. I mean that in the most simplest way, in straightforward way. Okay, and this lesson is just something that I've been meditating on through the spirit. Just meditating on my life in general and weighing other situations and things that I find myself in first and foremost, as well as things that you hear, okay, about other brethren in the fold, other situations brothers may find themselves in. Okay, people even in the world find themselves in these very same situations. Okay, but us as the hopeful elect, we have to, through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, do our very best to not put ourselves in these different situations. Okay, I want to start off with this right here, which I didn't have many lessons or many scriptures lined up, but Lord willing, I'll quote the scriptures and bring them out as the Spirit feeds me. But I want to start off with this. This is 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. And it says, be sober, be vigilant. Okay? And of course, we know that's speaking in a spiritual sense, but also in a carnal aspect as well. Okay? You want to have a sober mind. You want to be able to think and rationalize in the most logical way. You don't want to have a clouded mind in these times that we're in. I'm not telling brothers not to imbibe. The scriptures say that wine was created to rejoice the heart. But there's a plethora of scriptures also that speak of the negative aspects of wine. Okay? One way of saying another way, I should say, of saying someone that is drunken, physically drunken, is what? Under the influence. Looked at etymology of the word influence. It goes deep. Okay? But we really don't want to be, nor do we have the time or leisure to be under the influence of anything else than the Spirit of the Lord. Okay? Another way of saying that also is high, right? Being high is another way of saying under the influence, aka intoxicated. But when someone is high, they're proud, whether they know it or not. They're proud because they're blinded. They're impaired to. They're not getting a full 360 scope of everything that's happening around them. So you may feel as though you're okay. You may feel as though, another word for alcohol or phrase is liquid courage. right? You can fool yourself, or allow yourself to be fooled by being under the influence, thinking that you're safe, when the scriptures say be not confident in a plain way, right? So the opposite of that is being sober, being humble, being lowly, understanding the situation that we're in, understanding that we're behind enemy lines, understanding that we are at war, and that there are constant threats coming our way 24/7. Even if you don't perceive them right away, just know that Satan is cooking up something. Satan is always cooking up something to come against you. He's the adversary. That is his sole purpose, is to cause chaos in the earth and in the lives, especially of the men of the Lord, to try to derail them altogether from this walk, this path of ours to salvation, right? And if he can't do that, he's going to try to slow you down as much as he possibly can. So he is constantly cooking up something. So we must be well aware of that. All right. Again, be sober, be vigilant, which means to watch, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Okay. So that's something that we must understand. These demons, they're always on the prowl, lurking for your soul. All right, so going back, this is what I had lined up first, which is going to be the main precept of this lesson. Okay, this is 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11, which we bring out all the time, but this scripture is becoming more and more relevant as the days go by. Seeing Esau, which is the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan, is moving into hyper speed with his new world order agenda, with his technology, with this AI, with the whole beast system. Okay, you really can't take anything that you see for what it is in the physical sense. Nothing is as it seems. We must question everything, literally everything. You have to question and filter with the scriptures. Everything that comes in your life, everything that may seem like a blessing, can also be a curse if you don't thoroughly vet it. Okay? A good time in the short sense can be a horrible time in the long term. Right? It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Okay, that's the key point, not being ignorant to Satan's devices. And in the NLT it says, so that Satan will not outsmart us, for we are familiar with his evil schemes. Okay, so that's the main point. Not allowing Satan to outsmart you. We have to come up on a higher level in this thing of ours. And that's exactly what I mean when I say learn how to think like a demon. Okay? Learn how to think like a demon. And before I go further into that, I want to go into this word ignorant. Okay, now we go into this word ignorant in the Greek. It says, I'm going to just play it.
Strong's G50, agnaeo. Agnaeo.
Agnaeo, right? It says to be ignorant, not to know, not to understand, unknown, to err or sin through mistake, to be wrong. See, so there was a point in time, and of course through the grace of Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, you come into this thing with very little understanding, right? Especially brothers coming into this thing young. You don't even know yourself, really. Okay, you don't know what it is to truly be a man in this world. And as the Apostle Elder Gabar has said in the past, before you can be a man of the Lord, you must be a man first. Okay, and as men, we especially Israelite men, you are the target in this world. This world is like a game. It's like a simulation, really. Okay, and you are public enemy number one. So, like any game, you first start playing the game, you don't know how to play the game. You have to learn how to play the game before you can advance, right? From level 1, level 2, level 3, and each level it gets harder. It becomes more challenging. Level 1 is not as hard as level 10. Level 10 is not as hard as level 25. Okay? But like in a video game, you have chances. You have lives, right? Even when you seem to run out of lives, you can the game will tell you can't play anymore. And that's like the grace of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. But in this thing of ours, there is gonna come a time where a certain mistake can cost you your life. It can cost you your salvation, right? That's the only difference. And it goes on into the Strong's definition. It says, not to know through lack of information or intelligence. Through lack of information or intelligence. Now, I'm not going to pull it up, but when you look up the etymology, as brothers should know, when you look up the etymology of the word demon, it says intelligence. And intelligence, lower than the Most High, but higher than man. Okay? These demons, which, as the Apostle Tahar has said in the past, they're all demons. The word demon can refer to a spirit on the left hand or on the spirit of the right hand. Which the word demon is not even in the KJV. Okay? You have angels and you have evil angels. Right? So we have to come up on a higher level of intelligence than that of a natural man. Okay, we are called to be supernatural men. So we must think supernaturally. We must think and move supernaturally. We cannot be carnal. The carnal mind is adverse to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Thinking carnally, thinking naturally, all right, the natural senses, you're just taking things for what they see, or as they seem, or as they feel, or as they sound, can lead to death. It will lead to death. Okay? So, again, the word demon means intelligence, a higher intelligence than that of a man, right? It says by implication to ignore through disinclination, right? You have an inclination. The inclination is the Spirit of the Lord, all right? The Lord sends us signs all the time, okay? The horn had to go off on that one, right? The Lord sends us signs constantly of things, warnings, I should say. When things go left, before they go left, just know the Lord has sent ample signs prior to that. Okay? Things just don't go left. The Lord sends you constant warnings, red flag, red flag, red flag, and when we ignore the red flag, or red flags, that's when things go left. Okay? Ignorant, not know, not understand, unknown. And this is where shadow work comes in, right? Now, you hear the term shadow work, which I may not read all of this, right? It may sound like witchcraft or some crazy stuff. You hear people talk about shadow work, but really shadow work is something that we must all practice in this thing of ours. And I always thought that term may have meant something crazy or weird, strange, something off, but it's something that I've been practicing in the past, and men of the Lord have practiced and should practice. Okay, so shadow work is a process of exploring the unconscious parts of yourself that you repress, such as past traumas, fears, and undesirable traits, to achieve greater self-awareness and integration. The goal is not to eliminate these shadow aspects, but integrate them into your personality to become a more whole person. And that's the whole concept or purpose of this truth, for us to grow and to man up and to become the full stature of a Mashiach. Okay? Which can lead to increased self-acceptance, better relationships, and deeper understanding of your own behavior. Okay? Shadow work involves bringing hidden aspects of the self, often ones that are seen as negative, embarrassing, or painful, into conscious awareness. Now, guess what? Just because you ignore these things doesn't mean that they don't exist. And just because you ignore these things doesn't mean that Satan is going to ignore these things. Satan is going to use every tool in his arsenal to get you thrown off the path. And within his arsenal are things that are already within you, your weaknesses, okay, past traumas that you may have had through your childhood, right, or earlier in your walk, certain things that you try to forget and you don't want to think about. Okay, that is all a part of going into that dark place mentally, which has been spoken of by myself and other apostles, elders, and brothers on down in the faith. You must not be afraid to go into that dark place in your mind and psychoanalyze yourself. Why am I doing this? Why do I desire this? Okay? Why is the Lord sending this person into my life? Why am I so attached to this person? Why am I so attached to this thing? Is it because I may have this going on or that going on? And if I was a demon, could I use this to my advantage? If I was a demon, if I were the devil, what would I do in this situation? You have people in the world, many among these Christians have a term, what would Jesus do? Right? Which his true name is Yahweh Shai. We don't have to ask what would Yahweh Shai do, because the scriptures tell us what Yahweh Shai would do. You read the Gospels, you see how Yahweh Shai moved in his situations. So all you got to do is read the scriptures to know what Yahweh Shai do in certain situations. What you should be asking yourself is, what would Satan do? Okay? Different situations you find yourself in, you got to ask yourself that. What would Satan do? If I was a demon, how could I throw myself off the path? Could I come this way? Could I come that way? Oh, I can get him this way, because that's what the demons do. Okay? That's a part of the art of war, knowing your enemy. Okay? So, again, I didn't want to make this lesson too long. I don't really have much time, but this is something that has been spoken of in the past and will be revisited. But I just wanted to push this vibration and this concept, this way of thinking, because it's mandatory. Okay? We cannot be ignorant. We cannot be childish. Okay? The Apostle Paul said, when I was a child, I thought as a child, I act as a child. Right? Roughly paraphrasing, but when I became a man, I put away childish ways. Okay? And again, I'm talking to myself first, and I'm speaking to all you brothers that are in the fold. Okay? These are questions that you must ask yourself. What would Satan do? What would these demons do? Remember, they're high intelligence. All right? And if I was a demon, what would I do in this situation? That's going to give you a better judgment in all aspects of life. All right? So that's pretty much it for now. With that, I'm going to say, Call Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, and to the next one, Shalom.